I am not a particularly good artist. But 11 years of teaching and coming alongside students has left me with the confidence that I can become one, and so can you. Come with me today as we take a look at some of what I've learned in those 11 years with middle and high school students. I worked with hundreds of students from all manners of backgrounds. Some came in with years of experience, some with loads of talent, and others with nothing but a pencil to their name. Talk about talent a teeny bit. It's such an interesting concept. We seem from a very young age to have this idea that some people are talented and other people are not. And that seems, as I get older, to be true. A lot of the experts in the field have come to that same conclusion that people are born with different propensities for what they can and cannot do. However, art and music both, and I would imagine many other creative endeavors, seem to put much more weight on skills than they do talent. And skill is, no one's born with skill. Skill is something that you develop over time. Skill you develop from putting time into a particular thing. The skill of walking is something that we get as humans. No human is born with the ability to walk. We practice so much. I have a 3.5-year-old, and there was tremendous quantities of practicing walking before she was ready to do it on her own. So what did I learn and observe from working with those hundreds of students over the years that gives me confidence in my ability to progress and your ability simultaneously to do the same thing? Let's take a look. Through the years, I started keeping my eyes out for specific things and became able to predict with some level of accuracy who would improve and succeed and who would not. Like you might expect, initial skill actually had little to do with it unless it was accompanied by something much more important: consistency. Students who had skills because they drew all the time were very different from the ones who just seemed to have the skills. Students that are consistent and dedicated improve. Talking about the pace of improvement becomes very difficult, as the human brain dissects the information necessary for drawing so differently from person to person. Humility also played a huge role in predicting someone's success. Students who were willing to dive into things they had little proficiency in often improve faster. Many students only drew people or avoided drawing people like the plague. In both cases, if they stayed in their lane, obviously their skill growth was hamstrung. The ones who improved the most were the ones who would look at something new and say, "Well, I don't know how to do that, but I'll give it a try." Were their first drawings good? No, but they never stayed bad for long. Patience is another component that played a very key role in the life of students who had a tendency to grow and succeed. In a lot of ways, this looked like playing the long game. It wasn't patience with themselves nearly as much as it was patience to sit and learn the fundamentals for a long time. The fundamentals are not always fun at first, but a patient person will sit there and nibble on them for longer and make better headway towards success. Do you sometimes feel as if you don't have the ability to improve at drawing or painting, or whatever creative endeavor it is that you dive into? These are some things to consider if that's where you're coming from. If you have legible handwriting, you are capable of drawing. You are already drawing symbols that represent other things. Each letter is simply a symbol for a sound that we manufactured so that we can have a language. Drawing is not that different. You can learn to draw cubes, cylinders, and spheres, and those are essentially the building blocks of our entire world, with some texture and fancy things thrown on top. It will take time, just like it takes a toddler time to memorize all of the letters of their native tongue and then learn how to create them. Hand-eye coordination can take some time. It's totally learnable. I mentioned this earlier concerning learning how to walk for a toddler. It's a skill that takes time. No one's born with that ability. Here's another thing to think about. Your eyes will almost always develop the ability to see things before you can recreate them. I believe this is part of the reason why I was able to be a good teacher to my students, even when they began to surpass my skill level. I could see things they could not. I'd simply spent more time doing it than they had. This also means you should anticipate being frustrated with your ability to see what is wrong with a piece, but being unable to fix it. Try to take solace and some comfort in the fact that you're making strides through, as you certainly couldn't fix the problem if you couldn't even identify what it was. The thing I hope you take away from this video is simple: that improvement is totally possible, and based much more in consistency and dedication than talent. Talent certainly seems to exist, but it only carries so much weight, and skills are built over the long term. Progress is progress. Stick with it. I hope you found some of this information helpful. If you are enjoying what I'm doing here on the channel, please consider subscribing, leaving a comment down below. Have a great day, y'all. I'll see you soon.